Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so your friends see it. Thank you.
Report Trump-linked firm exploited data on 50 million Facebook users. The data analytics firm that used voter targeting tactics to help President Donald Trump clinch the White House improperly collected information on more than 50 million Facebook users, The New York Times alleged Saturday in a report that raises further questions about both companies' conduct during and after the 2016 election. The Times article, and a companion piece published by The Observer in London, landed hours after Facebook announced that it had suspended the firm, Cambridge Analytica, while investigating whether it had improperly kept data on as many as 270,000 users. But the newest reports raise the prospect that the breach was far broader than what Facebook copped to Friday night, while tying the privacy violations directly to Cambridge's work for the Trump campaign and its alleged entanglements with Russia. The Times quoted an anonymous Cambridge employee as saying that hundreds of gigabytes of unencrypted Facebook data still exist on Cambridge's servers, contradicting assurances given to congressional investigators. Until Friday, the newspaper added, Facebook downplayed the scope of the leak and questioned whether any of the data still remained out of its control. Enough is enough, top Senate Intelligence Committee Democrat Mark Warner said in a statement Saturday. This is more evidence that the online political advertising market is essentially the Wild West, said the Virginia senator, who has sponsored legislation to force greater transparency in online political advertising. Whether it's allowing Russians to purchase political ads, or extensive micro-targeting based on ill-gotten user data, it's clear that, left unregulated, this market will continue to be prone to deception and lacking in transparency. Another Democrat, Senator Amy Klobuchar, who has co-sponsored the ad transparency legislation, said Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg must testify about the situation. This is a major breach that must be investigated. It's clear these platforms can't police themselves, the Minnesota senator said in a statement. They say trust us, but Mark Zuckerberg needs to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee about what Facebook knew about misusing data from 50 million Americans in order to target political advertising and manipulate voters. The Center for Democracy and Technology, a Washington advocacy group, pointed to the revelations as yet another sign that the U.S. lacks strong data privacy protections and called for individual Internet users to have greater agency and control over their personal data by default. Now is a time of reckoning for all tech and Internet companies to truly consider their impact on democracies worldwide, CDT President and CEO Nuala said in a statement. While the misuse of data is not new, what we now see is how seemingly insignificant information about individuals can be used to decide what information they see and influence viewpoints in profound ways. The Times said Cambridge Analytica, which has deep ties to Republican donor Robert Mercer and conservative firebrand Steve Bannon, used the harvested information to build a powerful political tool as political campaigns were increasingly looking to sway voters on popular digital platforms. The company has denied the claims, which date back to 2014. In a pair of statements, Cambridge Analytica said it had hired Global Science Research, a company run by UK professor Alexander Kogan, to conduct a large-scale research project in the US. The company said it was unaware that Kogan's data violated Facebook's terms of service and subsequently deleted it at Facebook's insistence. No data from GSR was used by Cambridge Analytica as part of the services it provided to the Donald Trump 2016 presidential campaign, the company said Saturday. Cambridge Analytica only receives and uses data that has been obtained legally and fairly. Facebook, for its part, sought to get ahead of the Times article with an announcement late Friday night that it had suspended Kogan, Cambridge Analytica and its parent company, Strategic Communication Laboratories, as well as a third firm, Nuala Technologies, from the social network. Facebook said they had collected information from 270,000 users who voluntarily downloaded an app that Kogan created, though friends of those users with more relaxed privacy settings may have also had their data swept up. People knowingly provided their information, no systems were infiltrated, and no passwords or sensitive pieces of information were stolen or hacked, Paul Grewell, Facebook's vice president and deputy general counsel, said in a statement. Nevertheless, this was a scam. Mr. Kogan misled us all. Protecting people's information is at the heart of everything we do, and we require the same from people who operate apps on Facebook, Grewell added. If these reports are true, it's a serious abuse of our rules. Nevertheless, the New York Times report will undoubtedly create headaches for both Cambridge Analytica and Facebook. Each has come under fire from Washington lawmakers for their involvement in the 2016 president election, which according to U.S. intelligence agencies was marked by interference from Russian actors looking to undermine Hillary Clinton and, eventually, boost Trump's prospects. Cambridge has been called upon to provide both information and testimony to congressional and FBI investigators exploring the extent of the election meddling and whether affiliates of the Trump campaign colluded with Russians. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, for example, said last year that CEO Alexander Nix had contacted him in an effort to obtain hacked emails from the Clintons' campaign. The company's ties to U.S. conservatives are many. Mercer and Bannon played key roles in helping the company establish a foothold in the U.S. politics, the Times report explains. The company first used data to target voters during the 2014 midterm elections. And before switching to assist the Trump campaign, Cambridge Analytica was tapped to work on the presidential bid of Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Cambridge has also done work for a super PAC created by former U.S. diplomat John Bolton, who's been reported to be a potential candidate for White House National Security Advisor if Trump dismisses H.R. McMaster. Meanwhile, Facebook has been hauled to Capitol Hill to face a battery of questions from lawmakers concerned that the network did not do enough to prevent fake news and foreign trolls from manipulating American voters throughout the election cycle. Facebook, Google and Twitter found that ads, pages and fake accounts aiming to stoke political and social discord reached more than 125 million Internet users. The Times story also raises questions about whether Cambridge and SCL may have violated U.S. law by having Canadian or European employees working on contracts for American political campaigns. Cambridge Analytica told The Times that all personnel in strategic roles were U.S. nationals or green card holders, the newspaper said. Trump lawyer calls for end to Mueller investigation. President Donald Trump's lawyer on Saturday called on Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to shutter special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russia's influence over the 2016 election. I pray that Acting Attorney General Rosenstein will follow the brilliant and courageous example of the FBI Office of Professional Responsibility and Attorney General Jeff Sessions and bring an end to alleged Russia collusion investigation manufactured by McCabe's boss James Comey based upon a fraudulent and corrupt dossier, said John Dowd, as first reported by the Daily Beast. He initially told the news outlet that he was speaking in his official capacity as Trump's lawyer. But he later retracted that statement, telling Politico he was commenting in his personal capacity. Trump's personal legal team declined to answer follow-up questions about Dowd's remarks. White House lawyer Ty Cobb did not immediately respond to requests for comment. This isn't the first time Dowd has caused waves in the Russia probe. In early December he took the blame for a tweet from President Trump that appeared to admit knowledge that former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn had lied to the FBI before urging then FBI Director James Comey to drop the Russia investigation. Dowd later argued that Trump could not be found guilty of obstruction of justice because of his role as chief executive under the Constitution, an argument that many legal experts disputed. Dowd and Cobb also were embarrassed after a New York Times reporter who overheard them speaking about the Russia investigation at a Washington, D.C. restaurant wrote about their conversation. A prominent Washington white-collar defense attorney who represented John McCain during the Keating 5 scandal and investigated Pete Rose for Major League Baseball, Dowd joined Trump's legal team last June. He originally worked with Trump personal attorney Mark Kasowitz, though the president later revamped his legal team and added Cobb to handle White House-related matters tied to the Russia case. The 77-year-old attorney is known for his gruff manner. In 2011 he told CNBC outside a courthouse, "Get the fuck out of here," when asked for comment about the sentencing of a client, then gave the cameraman the middle finger. "None of your business," Dowd told Politico earlier this week when asked about the progress of talks for scheduling an interview between the president and Mueller's investigators. Dowd maxed out his political contributions to Trump's 2020 re-election campaign last year, CNBC reported last week, even giving more money than is legally permissible and requiring a refund. Even if Dowd was speaking in a personal capacity Saturday, the statement nonetheless marked an escalation of efforts to question the validity of the probe. Trump has repeatedly said that there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. But he has yet to publicly call for an end to the investigation, nor has he sought to fire Mueller. On Saturday evening, Trump mentioned Mueller by name for the first time in a tweet. "The Mueller probe should never have been started in that there was no collusion and there was no crime. It was based on fraudulent activities and a fake dossier paid for by Crooked Hillary and the DNC, and improperly used in FISA court for surveillance of my campaign. Witch hunt," the president wrote. "This is the Dowd corollary to the Ty-Cobb pledge of full cooperation," said Saul Weisberg, former deputy to Whitewater Independent Counsel Ken Starr. "The cooperation has been a required tactical move in a larger strategic game of removing Mueller. The mask is finally off and it is no surprise at all." The New York Times reported this week that Mueller subpoenaed the Trump Organization in recent weeks, raising the prospect that the probe is getting so close to the president that he could lash out and possibly seek to fire Mueller. Asked during an interview with the Times last year whether Mueller examining his and his family's finances would be a red line, Trump said, "I would say yeah. I would say yes." When pressed by reporters earlier this week about whether Mueller had crossed Trump's red line, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders declined to comment. She again asserted that there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, and added, "We're going to continue to fully cooperate out of respect for the special counsel." Following Dowd's statements Saturday, Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Vice Chairman Mark Warner, Democrat Virginia, tweeted, "Every member of Congress, Republican, and Democrat, needs to speak up in defense of the special counsel. Now." Dowd's statement came just hours after Trump gloated on Twitter Friday night about Attorney General Jeff Sessions' decision to fire former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. "Andrew McCabe fired, a great day for the hard-working men and women of the FBI, a great day for democracy," Trump tweeted. Sanctimonious James Comey was his boss and made McCabe look like a choir boy. He knew all about the lies and corruption going on at the highest levels of the FBI. Dowd reportedly referenced the Trump tweet when he made his comment to the Daily Beast. McCabe's firing, and Dowd's comments, raised alarms among Capitol Hill Democrats Saturday. Mr. Dowd's comments are yet another indication that the first instinct of the president and his legal team is not to cooperate with special counsel Mueller, but to undermine him at every turn, said Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, DNY. "The president, the administration, and his legal team must not take any steps to curtail, interfere with, or in the special counsel's investigation, or there will be severe consequences from both Democrats and Republicans." Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat California, demanded that Sessions testify immediately before the Judiciary Committee to answer questions surrounding McCabe's firing. "He must explain the DOJ's process and whether this is an attempt to target, punish or silence those investigating Russia and the Trump campaign," she said in a tweet. McCabe's firing is formally connected to a still unreleased Inspector General's report that has found he made an unauthorized disclosure to the news media and lacked candor, including under oath, on multiple occasions, according to a Friday night statement from Sessions' office. But McCabe himself is linking the termination to a border campaign to discredit him ahead of his potential cooperation with Mueller. McCabe told Politico in a pre-firing interview that House Intelligence Committee Republicans made a selective mischaracterization of his December testimony about the FBI's use of the dossier to obtain a surveillance warrant against former Trump campaign aide Carter Page. McCabe did not, however, connect his appearance in the House GOP memo to what he described as an attempt to impugn his credibility. And McCabe said contrary to Dowd's claim that the Russia investigation was based upon the dossier, the probe was underway before the FBI had come to possess the document. The investigative effort that ultimately led to the request for surveillance was initiated long before we ever had access to any of that intelligence from Steele, McCabe said earlier this month.